again with derivatives and related accounting issues. In this video, we will continue with learning objective 2 and 3, explain the basic features of common derivatives instrument, including forward contract, future option, and interest rate swap, and we will clarify what's the accounting treatment of them. In this video, we will discuss an example of a future contract. Let us move on to this example. Here in this example, we have assume that the initial margin on the above contract is set at 20,000 with maintenance margin of 15,000, and that the future prices are as follows: day 1 2.5, day 2 2.51, day 3 2.49, day 4 2.47. As we discussed before, we have an agreement between two parties. These two parties agree, one of them agreed to buy this corn by 2.5, and someone else agreed to sell them it by this price. But to guarantee the execution of this agreement, the buyer or the holder of the agreement, as mentioned here, assume that initial margin on the above contract is set at 20,000. He paid 20,000. So we will learn together how to record the initial margin on the contract, 20,000. Later on, we will discuss what's the accounting treatment because of the differences in the prices of the commodity from 2.5 to 2.51 and etc. Again, just a kind of remember, you have to know that we have two parties. One of them agreed to sell by forward exchange rate, and one of them agreed to buy this product. Here we agreed to sell the product by 2.5. Let us see, on the first day you have to record the margin account. On the date of agreement of a future contract, we pay $20,000. So future contract will be debited by 20,000, future contract margin account debited by 20,000, and cash 20,000 credited. This entry to establish of margin account. When we sign it, we establish the future contract by paying a margin account of 20,000. This is the first entry on the agreement day. Now we agreed to buy the product by 2.5, but in the coming day, in the next day, it changed to be 2.51. Now when it moved to be 2.5, 3.5, the point is when we entered into the future contract or forward contract, we fixed the price. We fixed it at 2.5. So when I buy something by 2.5 and this good or commodity increased to be by 2.51, so it means that I earned gain in this case. So we have to record it. The gain is the difference between 2.5 and 2.51. We are talking about 0.01. We have acquired 50 contracts. Each contract has 5,000 bushels. So we are talking about 50 contracts multiplied by 5,000 bushels, we are talking about 250,000 bushels. At each one we earn 0.01. So in total 250,000 multiplied by 0.01, we earn $2,500. So a future contract will be debited because it categorized as assets by 2,500, and gain on contract 2,500 because of the fluctuation of the price. If you remember, we mentioned that in the previous videos. We gain the loss or earn the earn the gain or we have a loss because of the fluctuation of the prices, not because of the payment the cost of, or paying the cost of the assets or liability itself because of the fluctuation. So the point, again, to clarify it, we acquire something by 2.5. The price of this commodity increased to 2.51. So we earn gain because of the difference between, because of the increasing of acquired commodity. So in this case, we have 2,500. In the next day, the price changed from 2.51 to 2.49. Now, already we have recognized the amount of gain by 0.01, but in the next day, the prices has been declined from 2.51 to 2.49. Something already recorded in our book, imagine that, by 251 asset. This asset has been declined to 2.49. It means that we have loss because of declining in the acquired assets. So you have to recognize the amount of assets. This assets will be debited, loss on contract. How we calculate it? The difference between the prices, 2.51 to 2.49. We are talking about 0.02 multiplied by 5,000 bushels, and we have 50 contracts, 250,000 multiplied by 0.02. We are talking about 5,000 as loss. Loss on contract will be debited by 5,000. Future contract margin will be credited by 5,000. The assets you acquired on day first will be declined by 5,000. Let us move on to the next day. Also, it has been declined from 2.49 to 2.47. We have the same amount of loss again because the difference is the same, 0.02. We have 5,000 as loss. Loss on contract debited by 5,000. Future contract debited as asset has been declined by 5,000. Here we have a note. You can move back to the book to see it with a maintenance margin of 15,000. What does it mean? It means that if the value that you have paid, the 20,000, has been declined or has become less than 15,000, you have to maintain your assets. You have to re-establish the assets. You have to pay additional amount to establish or to maintain your assets. Here, look, we have on the day of acquiring it was 20,000 and increased by 2,500. 22 became to be 22,500 and declined by 10,000. So the balance of a future contract in our books is 12,500. It's less than 15,000, as we agreed in the agreement with maintenance margin of 15,000. When the future contract margin account became less than 15,000, you have to re-establish it. You have to re-maintain it by adjusting it to be 20,000, the amount of agreement. You pay this amount to the broker between when we have a future future contract. We between the buyer and seller, we have a broker to maintain the agreement or to follow up the procedure of the agreement. So you have to pay the difference that between the 20,000, the amount of agreement, and the balance of a future contract in your book. The balance is 12,500. You have to re-maintain it to become 20,000 again. So you have to pay 7,500 will be debited to cash, and the future contract margin account will be debited by 7,500. This is to meet margin call and re-establish initial margin balance. Initial margin balance was 20,000. You have to maintain this as you agreed to sign this on the date of agreement. Here, where the future contract will become again to be 20,000. This is a kind of guarantee to execute the forward contract. Here, in this case, you will be not on the wealthy side. You are on the loss side. Let us move to the next point to distinguish between forward contract and future contract. What what's the difference and what's the similarity of both of them. Now, both of them contract, but the forward contract is negotiated contract. It means you can create this contract by or with anyone you like, with your colleague, with your friend, with anybody accepts to enter into the contract with you. So it's negotiated contract between two parties for the delivery or purchase. You can enter to, or you can negotiate it with anyone who agreed to be entered into this contract to buy or to sell commodity, foreign currency, and agreeing upon, and you both of you agreed upon a prices, a quantity, and delivery date. It means that you can negotiate with your friend to buy or to sell $10,000. This is the quantity or notional amount by 3.6 after 2 months. This is an agreement you can sign with your friend, and you have to execute it in 3 months later. Settlement of the forward contract may be physical delivery of the goods or net settlement. What does it mean? Physical delivery, it means you have to pay him the $10,000 and he will pay you the 36,000 shekel, or you can settle only the difference between the exchange rate on the date of agreement, today 3.5, and on the date of execution the forward contract between you and your friend. What's the difference between forward contract and the future contract? The future contract is specific type of contract, or specific type of forward contract. It's similar to forward contract, but the main difference characterized as standardized. We have a future contract exchange, characterized as set by future exchange rather than by contracting parties. In forward contract, you negotiated with someone else, so you can create whatever you want. But here we are talking about standardized, and we have a future exchange guarantee performance. Settlement may also be made by entering another future contract in the opposite direction. The main difference between a future contract and forward contract is characteristics are standardized, and we have a future exchange. Yani we execute the future contract in the financial market. Until now, it's enough. Let us move into the coming video that we will discuss options, what's the accounting treatment value, and how we disclose it. See you there.